Let's get into trouble, baby. Bonus points if you know what movie that came from. And I'm going to see how good you are because it's not one that's mainstream. Trust me. My name is John Nelson. I'm the plugin CEO of JKL Works and Plugin Business, and about 4 other projects going on at the same time that are all going to be incredible once they get off the ground and serve various niches, from local niche directories to possibly some other coaching gigs and different things going on. So I have my random product placement bar ready to go. Drizzled berry, yum. So let's do this. We're going to talk about how to increase your number of transactions in your business. Fancy way of saying how to continue to make the cash register ring more often than you had before, and in some very some kind of creative ways to keep those lines going. So you've already got the customer, so then it cuts down on the amount of prospecting that you have to do, and how that has to work. So I hope you find this helpful, and let's dive right into it, because it's not going to be that long here, but I hope it's going to be very helpful. I think it will be as a part of our journey here, because this is one of the pillars that we work on, and I'll show you that in just a minute what that looks like, along with foundation. Well, I'll just get into it at that point. So we're going to talk about how to increase the lifeblood of your business, because if you don't have transactions, if people aren't paying you to do what you do, then it's just going to dry up. It doesn't really matter, does it? So we have that going on. So let's see what that's going to look like. Now, in this particular, we're going to talk about some obvious things that's increasing the number of appointments and increasing the amount of purchases. And while that seems obvious, of course, if you increase that, you're going to do well. There's a little more science and marketing theory behind it that I hope you'll find helpful. We're going to talk about reactivations of the current customer kind or former customer kind, as opposed to the prospecting that we did last time that we were here, and then explore downselling, and finally tackle adding additional products and services, which again has kind of a factor to it also, but there's a little more under the surface there, and a chance to explore maybe bring around some of the things that we've talked about before, and that's joint ventures and collaborations and proper use of that word, sales marketing people, and some other things. So I again hope you find this really helpful as to ways for your clients or for your business, if it's your business, to keep that cash register ringing or those notifications coming because you got paid. This is a digital age after all. So let's do this. As I said, let's get into trouble. Let's get into trouble, baby. All right. I can hardly say it. Okay. So let's talk about the obvious ones. This is adding more appointments and increasing purchase frequency. So the obvious thing there is exactly what it says on its face. When you increase the number of appointments, you increase the potential for more yeses, right? More sales appointments we're talking about. You increase the potential for more sales. If you increase the number of appointments while they're going and they're meeting with you more often, perhaps there is an upsell potential there. The number of times they come into your store, if they're your business along they're along that journey, that's another opportunity. If you carefully take it and craftily take it, and you provide them good value, that you can then increase your chances of getting some more purchases. Same with increasing the purchase frequency. If you increase the number of times somebody buys, that's more profit, is it not? And you don't have to work as hard to get them because they're already customers, right? So here's the not so obvious side of this as to why you can do this. So number one, for increasing appointments, a good salesperson, and I believe, as much as I tease them and call them, sales weasels, that's what we used to call our sales team at the radio station I worked at. And they hated it at first, and then they soon embraced it because they were. But we had a little fun with it, and they had some choice names for us in operations as well. So that's kind of fun. But the fact is, we all needed each other. And the thing is, they're a true salesperson who is really good at what they do. That is what they do, and that is all of what they do. They have no business doing operations because they're not good at it, but they can tell you every aspect of their sales journey. You had a colleague in recent times he was exquisite at tracking that. Could tell you where everything was in the pipeline, where everybody was in his sales pipeline. Could tell you all the analytics about it. Could tell you how many calls he made, how many results he got, what the results were, where that whole tracking was. So there is good outcome in tracking all of that and being completely aware of where that is. If you're not doing that well, find a way to get it done, or find a way to bring it out in the salespeople if you're not the salesperson. Track what the marketing efforts that you put out there and what your returns are, and where you get the best returns for your money. Track the amount of closes that you get. And if you start, losing the number of closes, perhaps then you're going to, you'll find where you can make changes there, and you can improve that to where it's not so bad. And you can figure out where the holdup is all along that process, and that's a good thing. So with increasing more appointments, you should be tracking every aspect of it. And what you'll find is where bottlenecks are, how to free up the bottlenecks and make that happen, and get those transactions flowing again. On the other hand, if you're not on the other hand necessarily, but if you're increasing the purchase frequency, there has been research done that if you can increase if you can maybe add in an extra purchase along the way, it has a minimum 9% chance of growing your revenue out of it. That's 9% additional revenue that you wouldn't get otherwise. It can get up to 20%. If you can just add one more, shorten the cycle between when somebody buys and when they buy again, by adding an extra piece in there, there is business logic that says you will greatly increase your profits. And why is that? Because you're decreasing the amount of sales that prospecting you have to go do. You've already got this person as a customer, and hopefully you're treating them exceedingly well, and so much so that they want to increase their purchase frequency. They want to buy some more from you, right? So when you do that, then you make more money on the below the line. There's more profits there that you don't have to spend money to go and get. So they've helped you out by buying some more. So anytime you can do that, that's the philosophy behind this. So if you can figure out where the bottlenecks are, more appointments, and figure out and why people aren't saying yes to something in particular. Maybe it's an approach you're using, maybe it's what you're offering, or the price point you're offering, or whatever. And if you can also figure out how to get them to buy even one more time during the customer journey with you, then that is all money in the bank. So it's outstanding, as far as how that goes. So all right, so that's doing that. Now let's talk about customer reactivations. Reactivations of the customer kind. You know them, you love them. They've been around a long time, especially in marketing. Yes, that's reactivating folks. That's reaching out to them so last time we talked about prospecting and doing that with prospects and sort of a very short drip campaign, or doing that with old prospects, reaching out to them. Maybe if they didn't buy at that time, see if they're interested in buying again or buying at all. Where you revisit them a second time to see if they're there. So let's talk about that with current customers. This is the more common use of customer reactivation: database reactivation, customer win back. It's about 16 different names. So you obviously, there is the reaching out to former customers who have slipped away. Maybe you can get them to come back and re-engage. Birthday campaigns are great ways of doing this. And there are others too. Maybe you have a special offer. Maybe you're launching a new product. Maybe you're doing something or other, and it's an opportunity to reach back to them and bring them back. The beauty of this versus in prospecting is you already know you can text them. And that's a very immediate way to get somebody's attention. You can email them, but it may get lost. You can also DM them on social media if you have that information. But text is the absolute best way that these things work. And so if you can do that, if you're not in a place where you're regulated, that you have to be cautious, then you already have general permission to text them. And there may still be some who say, oh yeah, I thought I unsubscribed from that, and they unsubscribe anyway. But there will be more who don't. There are marketers who make entire foot in the door strategies with this. And truth be known, it's one of the things that we try as well, to try to get you back. But you have to have that list of customers. That's the important thing. If you don't, then we're just starting from scratch. But if you do, it's an easy opportunity to get you success quickly. And we'll talk about some do's and don'ts with that in just a minute. Now, there is also the concept of a current customer reactivation. So what does that look like? Well, you see it listed there, loyalty program. If you have a loyalty program and you continue and people buy into it and you continue, that's a ready opportunity to put messages in front of somebody. It is. They all use it. We all do it. And there's little or no shame in it. When you sign up for the loyalty program because you like it so much, then, we should be able to send you some communication and get you to come back and increase that purchase frequency, right? So that we just talked about a second ago. Don't think that doesn't all tie together. It does. So we got that going on. But the loyalty programs, there's amazingly easy ways of doing it. And it's something you can do. I mean, you're just seeing it more and more and more because it's baked into a lot of the transactional systems, the payment systems where they accept payment. They have the loyalty club right along with it. So it's always a great opportunity to do that and to encourage people to participate. So then let's talk about some do's and don'ts. Okay. Chief among them is time and frequency. Okay. So if you're going to do a customer reactivation, customer win back, pick your name. Then there's some things you need to consider. One, you probably only get about one of them a month, depending on the group that you're reaching out to. If it's a loyalty program, maybe a little more than that. A little more frequently than that, but generally it's once a month. If you do it any more than that, people will start getting annoyed and they'll shut it off. Okay, that's just the reality we live in. We're all bombarded with messages. So any more than that, once every couple of months would be even better, because then you sort of back off with them, and those that pay attention are going to pay attention when it hits them. Maybe you couple that with a birthday reach out special offer thing, so it's just not so often. But then again, if they're in the loyalty program, you get a little more of that opportunity. So then the frequency, once you do have a campaign, you don't want to go any more than 2 weeks on it. And you don't want to go any more than 5 to 7 touches, 5 to 7 outreaches. That's ideally what we're pretty much conditioned to respond to anyway. If we're not going to do that, particularly within 5, we're probably not going to do it. There are very few exceptions, but there are exceptions, but they're very few. So you really do want to, not go any more than 5, but go to 7 is the absolute limit of times that you want to connect with somebody. Particularly if you're only using text messages. Keep that number low, because then it not only keeps the system from locking up, but keeps you from being blocked because of an annoyance factor. If you combine it with text and email, you get a little bit more opportunity to outreach. But if it's text only, or then just be very careful with texting in general. People are, our phone is for many of the same reasons as to why it's so effective, there, it's always in our box. It's right there. We pay attention to text messages right as they come in, right? So but at the same time, that's a double-edged sword, because it's so personal, because it's so intimate, because it's right there on our phone, and because we, at least in the US, are getting so many junk texts now. The radar has gone up. And so just be really, really careful about who you text, how often you text, and that it's not always so salesy, that it's something you don't just do it for little stuff. You save it for the important things that you want them to react to, because that's what we do far more than email. Email we can pigeonhole away and not mess with and not pay attention to. Text message, we are conditioned to react. So treat that very, very carefully. Okay. So those are some things there. But at the same, I mean, if you can use text message, particularly on existing customers, do so. Just don't abuse it. It's a great way to, these things are here because they work. Customer win back, as I said, is a fantastic customer reactivation, a fantastic way to increase the number of clients and to get everything out there. So we have that. All right. So let's talk about some downsells. The downsells are kind of the escape valve, sort of. What are they? So a downsell is in your product list of things that you offer. The downsell is sort of the lesser, cheaper, lesser expensive, lower grade quality product that you offer. So in my case, well, I'll talk about a very unique case of mine, but for our coaching that we offer, one of our downsells is we call the Success Academy. It is a DIY online set of training services and videos and that sort of thing. It's all run on your own. It's not necessarily what we do, but sometimes for people that can be a good foot in the door, that they start looking at that, or they use it as a resource to help understand. And it's low cost enough that somebody can use it and it not break the bank. And they think they can research things on their own time and they'll do it. Well, the reality of that is they don't. They say they're going to do it, but they don't. And it would really take somebody being a little bit more accountable with them. And I'm not just saying that because it's what we offer. It has been proven results in the systems that we have, is that people probably don't last beyond a year. They only use it for 2 to 4 months. Or they just very, very haphazardly. And then for them, at some point, it becomes prohibitive value. People left to train on their own at a DIY level, sorry, course creators, but you know this, it only lasts so long. You have to keep them engaged. You have to keep in front of them. You have to keep them going, not with new content, but with interactive content, and ways to constantly engage them in community. That's what we're finding. So the downsell is a good opportunity to, if somebody is, you're on the call with them, that they're just not getting it. They have a lot of objections. You can't seem to solve them, no matter how hard you try. They're just in a place that's where they're going to be. But yet, you don't want that to go to waste. So having a downsell in all aspects is a great way to get somebody's foot in the door at the pace they want to go. Maybe they're just not ready yet. Maybe they can't afford to be ready yet, and that's okay. We don't want to look too far down these people, because perhaps we've all been one of them. And then we try to work our way back up with an opportunity when the time is right. But if you offer them a downsell, that should not be a disappointment to you. That should be an opportunity. That should be a chance to say, okay, you're not ready for this right now, but I'm going to continue, throwing value at you and show you what I'm really about. And then I'm going to eventually make it to the point when you have more trust and experience and time with me, that we're ready to amp this back up. That's why our ProfitWorks Jumpstart is really kind of cool, because it's individual. It's kind of flash coaching. It's individual 15-minute sessions, as many as you want, but we're working through a process. And so you don't get another one until you put in some work and then we get to move that on to the next call, and the next call, and the next call. But that's a great chance for somebody to see if this is right for them. If the whole idea of working with a business at this level to turn it around and to make it something impressive is right for them. So great chance to do that. And so that's why we like it a lot over sometimes. I mean, I've downgraded people from full-time coaching down to the Jumpstart, and that's okay. It just suits them better. They can take it at their pace when they're ready and not feel like, so I'm showing up every week ready with stuff because that's what they hired me to do. That's what they hired my company to do. And so then they feel overwhelmed and convicted, and it's just not going to work. So this is a better fit for them, because then we get to take it at their pace. And if they are ready to speed up, then we're certainly poised and ready to make that happen. So those are some great examples of downsells. At least I hope they are anyway. So hopefully some places of where they fit. Now let's address one other place they could fit. Okay. Because it's sort of taking that reason for the downsell and using it against them. Now let me explain what I mean by that. So if you have, there are clients, at least in the coaching space, and maybe where you are too, that they don't want all the curriculum. They don't. But what they do want is something that can be based on that curriculum, and something that is, they want you to be like a sounding board for them, to say, okay, here's what I want to do. This is in your wheelhouse of expertise. How can we do this? What are the pros and cons? What are the ways of doing this? This was made real to me actually about the ProfitWorks Jumpstart program, honestly, because I thought I was treating it just as a downsell. I was treating it as okay, they're not ready for the big picture thing yet. Okay, that's fine. I get that. So we can scale down to this. It's a lot less expensive. It's a better time frame. And the person who was working with me on it said, no, here's another way to look at it. That is a good way to look at it, but let's have another one. And that is, people just want that. They want that reliable, secure sounding board, because if they brought this up, in and amongst their company or their group or their peers or their fellow investors or their fellow owners, it could be panic, so then they could look really silly and cause some problems that they weren't intending to cause, just for trying an idea and seeing what it looks like. So then you have somebody who is the coach is in your hip pocket, that they can call and say, okay, here's what I'd like to do. Let's walk this out a little bit and see what it can look like. And, give me the reasons why it could work, why it could not work, and some stuff I got to think about. And so then I can take it back to my people. That's a great use of coaching like that. Maybe you have a product or service that is the same way. Okay. Maybe it is, let's take a chiropractor for a second. So they're not ready to do the full adjustment path and to do all that, but maybe there is something lower key that they can do that will be, maybe they buy into part of it, where they get a wobble ball and some home exercises and some different things, and then maybe it's a little less often that they come in and get adjusted. Okay, there's things like that. There's same with some of the other holistic things. Maybe there's a scaled down version, but people buy that because maybe they're really sick at the time, or with women, maybe they're pregnant and they're limited on what they can do, but they really like the idea and they want to get into it. They just have to have that baby first. So, and once they do, then they're be good to go, and might even have more need, because then we need to get some baby weight off, or we need to do some different things. So I mean, there's maybe there in your business there is a downsell that has other opportunities to it, that you make it okay. You don't make it a disappointment that they're going to the downsell. You give them an opportunity to find a different use for it, or you find a different use for it to meet them at that point. And then you occasionally reach out, during that process to say, how's this going? This is great. I see you're at this point. Maybe we can work on, there's a way we can add more here. And then you can, again, increase that purchase frequency, right? So you then bring them along back up to the level that you want them at, but you do it in their time frame. And so then they've seen you built up trust. They've been around and been involved with who and what you are and what your company is. And so then they're ready to step out from there, right? Okay. So we have all that on the downsells. When not to use a downsell. So there are times, and I sort of alluded to this at the beginning, and that those times are when you're going through and you're vetting a client because you're vetting them in the same way they're vetting you. Make no mistake. If you're not vetting them, whenever you're meeting with them in these breakthrough, strategy sessions, then you should be, because then you sort of bring them on at your own peril. Figure out where the red flags are for you and be willing to say no, be willing to cut them loose. And to say, hey, you know what? I want to help you. I don't think you're quite ready for this, and that's totally cool. I will be here when you are. And so you have to determine when to use the downsell as a safe. This goes back to using the downsell as a safety valve. You have to determine when to use the downsell as that safety valve to keep a client going who maybe has potential. They're just not ready yet. And when somebody can be toxic for your group, can be toxic for your product, will be nothing but trouble and heartache and hassle for you and for them and for your community that you're building. And when that person can be a bad fit and they just need to go away. They need to go live a life with their misery, and they don't need to include you in that drama. And they don't need to drag your business down with that drama either. You know the type. They are out there. That's all they do. They're looking for the refund opportunity from day one. And you wonder why they even bother. It takes so much energy to do that, but yet they do. So there are some people who just live a life of drama that way, and you can't do much about them. So learn when to cut those people loose and not to offer them a downsell. Learn when to do that. And that in of itself might be the most powerful sales tool you have. Might be one of the ability to say no. Your client says no to you, your prospect says no to you all the time, right? So, but it's sometimes when you have the ability and maintain the ability to say no, that might be more powerful than you can possibly imagine. It'll be certainly good for you. It could very well be good for them when they get turned down by something. How does the story go? Netflix was 20 years ago, early 2000s. They were kind of up and coming, or maybe mid 2000s. I forget the date. But they were kind of up and coming. And then they went to, they were trying to, but struggling a little, quite a bit as a startup. And so they went to Blockbuster. They had started their streaming side. They were DVD and Blu-ray delivery service before that. I know I had it as the Blu-ray delivery, and then you'd put it in the mail and they'd send it back. Well, they went to pitch Blockbuster on this Blockbuster Video on this concept of not only the mail delivery, but the beginnings of the online as well. The online streaming and what that would eventually become. Now Netflix is the de facto standard for it. And at the time, Blockbuster shot them down. Said, "We don't want you. We don't want any of that." And they maybe a bad example because they ended up going away. But you know what happened to Blockbuster. You don't see them around anymore. There's maybe one video store in existence, and I think it even closed recently. But so you have to be careful what you say no to, and know what's truly toxic and what's not. And there's real power in saying no. Because Blockbuster said no to them, they went and got their head together in a different direction, and they have become the Netflix that they are. And Blockbuster has become the closed down, bankrupt situation that it is. So, there is power in saying no. And sometimes some of the most famous business stories have been told no, and it motivated the daylights out of them. And so here they are. They came back and brought back something completely different and much better, and have become the success story we think they are because somebody told them no. So sometimes don't think you're being a bad person by doing that. Don't think you have to take all comers. You don't. Just, they're vetting you vet them back, and you have every right to do so, and that's okay. And if they don't think it's okay, they can deal with it. Okay. So it's a lot on the downsell, but that's an important factor, is to when to offer this and when not to offer this to somebody. This can be a great tool either way. This can be fantastic to give somebody a chance and to give your business a chance to not lose out on a great client, but it also can keep you away from the toxic people not offering it, and the toxic businesses and whatever, purchasers, buyers. So we've beaten that enough, right? Okay, keep that in mind if you take nothing else away from this. All right, so something else I do hope you take away from it. This is, as you see, kind of this is a new graphic. Oh, he's got upgrades. All right, so this is our kind of our model. This is how this lays out, right? This is the different things that we've talked about, and we've spelled this out differently before, but I wanted to kind of redo this and make it a little more concise. So there are 5 pillars that we build JKL Works on, if you'll just permit me for a second through all the training. It's foundations, and more leads, more conversions that we talked about last time. And now we're talking about more transactions. That's down here. And then finally, more profits. And so that's what we get you to, angling to something we call real business life change. When you're doing as many of these strategies as make sense for you, then this is where that happens. And we want to be your guide through all of this. Be that through full-blown one-on-one coaching, be that through the ProfitWorks Jumpstart Flash Coaching thing, where it's unlimited 15-minute sessions, but it's an annual rate, and we take it at your pace, or whether through group coaching and the group experience that is out there, that is coming. We're putting that together, and it's all of this goodness into a very small group that is, yes, a bit accountable, and I don't want that to scare you. Being in an accountable group and being open to that idea is some of the best steps you'll ever take, wherever that finds you. If that's in business, if that's in church, if that's in marketing groups, if that's in some shared thing you have in common, holding each other accountable is tough on the surface, especially if you're one of those people who doesn't take that very well. But the problem is you. The problem is not the group. Okay. I'm just here to tell you, I've been one of those people that and at that point, the problem was me. I wasn't ready. But I've also been in and continue to be in some amazing accountability groups that I feel trustworthy and comfortable enough with that I can tell them almost anything, and it will stay confidential. I will not be judged for it. And because I've said some things that I could be judged for in a lot of places, but not there. But they're wonderful. So the group experience is on the horizon, coming up fast for us. And so that is really where we're going to go. That's a lot of this. We've been working on the concept of virtual events. So there will be some of that, and those will be the kickoffs to groups like this. So imagine these trainings on a more drilled down basis, just unique to to your situation of a group of, say, 10 to 20 people, as opposed to a group of 200 or 300 or however many you're watching all over the web here. So that's what we're heading for. This is our roadmap to get there. And so there will be some great opportunities. There'll be some great training. We're focusing on the concept of turning around your business. Perhaps your business is not where you want it to be. Perhaps it is not getting the results that you originally signed up for. How can we turn that around? Well, all these strategies that you see on the page are ways to turn that around. plus a few that aren't listed here. Some of the marketing things that aren't listed here. There are some marketing things listed, but there's more we haven't gotten to, but we have covered in these trainings. So that's what we're going to focus on, is turning around your business to double your profits in 90 days. That's where this is all headed. And so that's what we want you to do. So there's different aspects of this. And if you want us to break down this model for you and see how that fits where you are, whether or not we include a success blueprint you see up there as a part of that journey is fine. But let's start with a business breakthrough strategy session. Let's take 22 minutes or so to get in a call with each other. And I know this is the famous discovery call, right? So, but this might be unlike any others you've ever seen. We have the profit acceleration simulator we can run your business through and say, if we turn on all these strategies at once, what does this look like in your revenue? Can we double your revenue that you have? We have some other, little tools and questions. It's not long. You'll get the chance to vet us, but like I said, we'll get the chance to vet you too. And we're going to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. And if we're not, that's cool. That's no problem. There are options that we have, or if you're still really excited about it but not ready for the group thing, let's do some ProfitWorks Jumpstart coaching, or let's do something else. So we get you on that track to turning around your business and making it what it was originally supposed to be, in starting by doubling that profit in 90 days. But then if we run the full blueprint on you, we're going to show you what very specific impacts can have on your business, and you will be blown away as to what those potentials can be, mathematically and otherwise. So if you want to do that, strategy.jkoworks.com is the place to go. You can also go to our homepage and you can book a time right there. 22 minutes, we'll be done. You'll know one way or the other whether or not this is a good fit for you to move forward. And you might be really surprised at what direction we take this in. There are some directories and projects that are starting up now that are not the normal thing for what we do, but it's because I love finding opportunities to make something work. I've been a small business owner for 20 years, through good times and bad times. I get it. So I'd love to find a way to make this, to set this up where it works for you and turns into the business that you want it to be, that you always wanted it to be, and to make it to bring some real business life change. Because when you change that business where it's profitable, that changes everything about your life. I guarantee it does. It just will change your world in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. And it is why you got into business in the first place. So give us a shot, strategy.jkoworks.com, or right there on our homepage at just jkoworks.com, and book a time with us, okay? But you're going to be seeing some things change around, heading down these lines. And so I'm excited to see you there. Perhaps excited to see you in one of our virtual events that we're going to be having as well, that we're going to focus on that, right? Okay, so back to finish this up. Let's talk about additional products and services, shall we? So additional products and services, again, is one of those duh factor things. Yes, if you offer more products, there's more ways that people will buy from you, right? Makes perfect sense. So, but here's something to think about. What products and services are you going to offer? How are they going to fit into your overall catalog? How are they going to be there? Where are they going to be? How are you going to manage them? Are you going to offer them? Or should you consider an opportunity to pull in from the outside? Should you consider a way to have, and we'll drill down on this in a second, but additional products and services, think about your catalog of what you offer. And think about all the services you want to mess with, period, whether you do them or somebody else does, or products. This works for products too. Which ones that get the most attention, or which ones would just sit around unused? Which ones are really needed by the market that you have, by the people that you're talking to, by the people that you are trying to understand, the groups of people you're trying. Do they really need this stuff? or do they not really need this stuff? So that is the thing you have to decide when you're building up your catalog here. This is certainly, if you're open to different things, a way you can offer different products or services that make sense and that increase your transactions. This can also be a trap in and of itself, because if you start offering these, don't ask me how I know, you can end up going down some rabbit holes. You can end up distracted. You can end up, focusing all on that and not necessarily focusing on your product or service. So it's happened to the best of us, guys. It really has. Forgive me. Had a little bit of water there. All right. So it has happened to all of us. So it is important to really spend that time working out your product catalog. Only offer things that truly fit your business and are not a distraction. And then if you don't want to provide those services or products, but you do want, if you don't want to deal with, procuring them or putting them together or whatever, or there's somebody else that you know of out there or don't know of, but you just don't want to mess with the service, but in your heart of hearts that your customers and your clients want this, or your patients want this, then go seek it from the outside. Go seek it from a reliable, proven source that makes some sense, and set up an opportunity with them to be an affiliate, a joint venture, or a collaboration. Great opportunities, and there are differences in these, as to what the difference is. Well, and that's a funky statement, but okay, an affiliate is, they give you all the stuff, you're promoting their business, and you get a little something for doing that, right? A joint venture is you actually come together equal parts or pretty equal parts on a given product or service, and you provide that as a sort of a standalone thing. And so that name concept kind of gets misused sometimes. Now let's talk about the word collaboration, marketers, because I'm starting to get emails and outreaches, and perhaps you are too, and hopefully you're not the one sending these. Let's talk about what a collaboration is and what a collaboration is not. Okay, I'm going to be on a soapbox for just a second. Deal with it. Okay, so because you're ruining it for the rest of us, those of you who are doing this. A collaboration is a working together of two people or companies or more. In some cases, there can be 3 or 4, and to make a given product. And maybe you all offer it. Maybe one company offers it. Maybe, however you want to do that. It is truly working together to make that something special, but everybody contributing some to the whole. So the WHOLE, whole, to make it something, worth doing and worth having and very special. Now, a collaboration is not. So I get these emails now from and instant message and direct messages on social media, and probably a text or two that says, "Let's collaborate." And when you look at it, it is basically what they mean is we are in collaboration if I'm paying you money and you're providing a service. That is sales. That is not a collaboration. In no way is that a collaboration. It's a sales transaction. Okay. That's increasing the very transactions we're talking about. Okay. Trying to get a sale from somebody. So, well, that's cool. I mean, that's what we're all aiming for, to get more sales out of people. That is not a collaboration. And I know this is a nitpicky thing, but collaboration really means something else. A collaboration could mean, you then become a part of their group, and you start contributing back to that, for not only as a customer, but also as a contributor to the whole thing. And it together makes something better. But that's kind of a rare version of that, if we're being honest. So let's properly use the word collaboration, and which is very powerful when you do. And we'll be all much better off, because then we can use it to describe a lot of other cool things that collaborations are. Collaborations can be a great opportunity. Collaborations, could be another name for a partnership, just with less, legal sense involved. People come together to try to put together a given product or service. Great example of this in its time was Atlas Agency Launch Lab. That is a collaboration of different people from different groups in different areas that put together this. And yes, it had a main set of hosts and people who ran it and funded it and powered it, but several of us were contributing to that, and that was a great example of a collaboration and what can happen. So people were contributing to that and making it better than the sum of its parts. That's what a collaboration is, and it's an awesome way to do it. Okay, so there's two types of excuse me, these where to put an affiliate, joint venture, collaboration in the true sense of the word, and that's the rest of this here. All right, so there's the catalog version, catalog integration, and there is the food chain integration. Now, what do I mean by these? So if you're going to add product, we're still talking about products or services. Now that I'm down off my soapbox, we're talking about adding products or services here. So if you're going to add them to your catalog, they could be yours. They could be outsourced from one of these opportunities, right? And that's a great way to grow your catalog. It's a great way to expand it. You do have to be careful of how that's presented by these other people and make sure that process is managed as far as your clients and customers are concerned. Make sure they're getting what they pay for. Make sure you're getting the value that you were promised for this. And as often happens, sometimes other services who offer this are great at selling it and lousy at supporting it. So make sure they are supporting what they sell. And because if they're not, that looks badly on your catalog, and your customers will not be happy with that, and they will start going away through something that's no fault of your own. Okay. So you have the catalog integration. Great way to do this, but it has its own concerns. You then have a food chain, and what I call food chain integration. This is, or maybe the better version of this is the buyer's chain. So you think about, as we've quoted before here, the concept of a wedding. Okay, so you're gonna have a wedding. The bride said yes. The groom asked. The bride said yes. We're ready for action. That actually comes later. But in the meantime, there's a lot to set up. Okay, so sorry, I had to slip that one in there. I couldn't resist. So when they say yes, then you have to pick out a venue. You have to get a ring, and you have to pick out a venue, and you have to pick out the catering, if you're going to have food or not. If you're going to do music, you got to have that. You got to have, what's the honeymoon going to look like? If there's going to be one, where's that going to go? What's the wedding reception going to look like? In reverse order there. So many things down that chain that kick into gear once he asks and she says yes, right? So, or however that's done. So then there's so many things that come after that are a part of the food chain. They're a part of the buying chain. They're a part of that process journey. We talk about that when we talked about joint ventures and affiliates and even partnerships and collaborations way back when. So the same thing applies here. So this is how can you, and that's powered by referrals. Okay, we love referrals. I'm going to slip referrals in there somewhere. So here it is. This is all powered by referrals, going from one to the next to the next to the next. So can be very common if you're adding additional products and services to do something like, where you sell what it is that you're doing, and then you pass them on to you have these certain people the companies that you offer as follow-up services. That's happens all the time. No problem. It's not ideal for every situation, but it can happen all the time. So then you're sort of released from that, because then you're passing it off to them. You still owe it to yourself, if you're going to recommend people, to make sure that you're providing they're providing the service for your folks, so it somehow doesn't blow back on you to say, you sent me to these people, they're awful. and I'm going to start punishing you for that business, for that decision. So it's in your best interest to monitor those situations and make sure that they're providing a good product for what you do. There's a podcast I listen to, and it's a radio based off a radio show, and he talks about all the time. He has sponsors, and he works those sponsors very hard, talks to them a lot, and interacts with them about growing their business and working on that, because it's going to be reflective of, if he sends people, does his bit to send people to that show sponsor, and they give awful service, poor performance, don't stand behind what they sell, then that blows back badly on him. And so, and his, because the people will, the listeners to his show will be, that will be an issue for them. Same goes here. And also the reverse is true. If there are companies that are selling in front of you before these customers get to you, wherever you fall in that journey, then you make sure that, one, if you're going to put yourself out there as the solution, the next step solution to offer these people, make sure that you are providing real value. Make sure that you are being the type of business that they want to refer people to, that they can't do it enough, that it's fantastic that way. So that's how then you get to be a good steward. And then that really makes this food chain, this buying chain, take off. And it can be a fantastic way to do this, where people just, their businesses, yes, they're, you may or may not feel appropriate passing customers off from one to the next, to the next, to the next, but there's real value in it for everybody. And the customer then gets a good experience, because you all have connected together with who they're buying from before and who they're buying from after, and to give them just a fantastic experience that they can then send their friends and other customers to. So, concept of food buying. So many ways to increase those transactions. That's what we've been talking about here. So I told you it wasn't going to be that long, and hopefully it's not that long, even with my soapbox bit. So I really appreciate you guys checking this out. If you think you want to know more about this and about what we do, that's the 22-minute strategy session, strategy.jkoworks.com. Check us out, and at least, it's free. It's 20 minutes of your time, unless we really get to talking. Maybe we go to 30 minutes. I don't know, but we really do want to help. We really do want to see your business move forward and become what it was meant to be, to turn it around from whatever's going on, put the right systems in place, work with you, not for you. We're not doing this for you. You have to do this yourself, but we are here to guide you. We are here to help you. We are here to step through it with you, shoulder to shoulder. We're not leaving you alone to do it, because you won't. Don't ask me how I know. So that's why we really want to be available to do that and to make that happen. So thanks so much for watching. Sure appreciate it. And if you have any questions, let us know, or comment below wherever it is that you're watching this. And otherwise, have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you next time.